short notice. I know it's at short notice that you were asked to meet. Nonetheless, I think it's important. I am going to record so that for the benefit of those persons who were not able to make it, we can share the recording a little bit later. We are basically meeting for one substantive reason, but I want to use this opportunity to wish for all our students. I know the exams are almost finished. The feedback so far has been reasonably confidence in terms of the students' feedback in terms of what they would have done for their exams. So let me hope that for the most part, they would have done as well as they could have, and that when the results come in another 2 months or so, it will be reflective of the efforts that the students put in. So we know that they are wrapping up those exams now, and they have the summer ahead. I'm not sure how many of them will be engaged in summer school or other activities, but I also want to encourage you to ensure that they are meaningfully engaged during the summer. Those who intend to return to school, they can take a break and take the opportunity to rest, but also make sure that whatever they are doing, it is going to be productive and they stay out of trouble for those 2 months while they wait on their exam results. We are going to be speaking about the graduation exercise. Mrs. Martin, who is the graduation coordinator, will lead us through that exercise, and I'm encouraging parents to ask all the questions that you have in your mind during the course of this morning's meeting, so that between now and graduation, we won't be getting questions about things that we could have answered today. So I'm going to hand over to Mrs. Martin.
All right, good morning, sir. Good morning, parents. Thank you for joining us. As you would have been apprised that our graduation this year, our annual graduation, will be on Thursday, June 29, and we will commence at 10 a.m. You would have also been informed that about the cost of graduation, and many of you would have expressed your concerns about what the package contained. The process of putting and selecting those students who would have qualified for graduation, we use a point system. So a list has to be generated before we can send out letters. However, the list has been done and your child or ward would have gotten a congratulations letter yesterday. There are those persons who would have turned up for graduation practice. They would have also received their invitations, and they would have also been informed as to what they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to be attired for graduation and for their photo shoot, which will take place on the 19th, that's Monday the 19th, and the 20th of June. All right, so I don't know how many parents would have gone through the letter that they would have received, so that there are any questions, I would be able to address them myself or Mr. But just so you understand that the graduation points are collated based on the handbook that I guess at some point you and your child would have gone through during their tenure here. So those points will accumulate and qualify your student, your child. All right. The invitations, I know some students were asking if they could have gotten more than 2. We allow 2 invitations to each student for them to invite 2 special guests. Those 2 guests can be whomever they choose to give those cards, those invitations to. Ushers will usher those persons to designated areas, and of course it does not limit them to only 2 persons attending the graduation to wish them well, right? So just to clarify that they're not limited to 2 persons. So if they carry 8 persons and the 2 persons who they would have given the invitations, they'll be met by ushers, they're going to be seated here in a specific area. The other persons will be shown where they can sit, so they can sit there. Why we do that? We try to accommodate the grandmas, the mommy and daddies in a particular, so they can see and they're not at the back of the ceremony. All right. In that same breath, for those parents who would have agreed to allow their their child to participate in the ball, the cost you would have been aware of, that's $6,000, and that would also be a part of the $30,000 that you would pay as the graduation fee. That ball will be hosted on the school grounds, so it is not going to be anywhere else. It will be on the school grounds, supervised by our teachers here and planned by teachers. So, and we control what is served during the process. So it is not that they're allowed to bring any drink or any particular food. We provide all of that as a means of control. All right. On the day of the photo taking, we also will provide the students supervision with their makeup. We have advised them in meetings that they are not allowed, especially the females, to wear any lashes. It's a school picture that they're taking that should reflect how they would have looked at the form. And we encourage them to be as natural as is possible. However, we know that fashion is there and they're going to want to wear extensions. They are limited to a length of 16 inches. No highlights should be in those extensions.
Mrs. Mandy said they are limited. What is limited to 16 inches?
They
said they are limited to a length of, then what?
Right, the extension that they will purchase. The hair that they would purchase at the store, it is limited to 16 inches. When they put it on their hair.
And that's for girls, right?
That's for the females. Yes, I'm addressing the females. Right. So we ask that they wear no lashes. The length of the hair is to be no longer than 16 inches. And there should be no highlights, no colors. Right. So please ensure that your child cooperates with this, because if they come and they have these highlights, they have the lashes, they will not be allowed to sit and take their photographs. All right, so please ensure that this is done so we can have a smooth day. On the day of graduation, they're not allowed to wear any nails. If they polish their nails or put on nails, it should not be any loud colors. We ask them to do nude and subtle colors. So no blue, no shocking color, yellow, green, whatever, because it is still a school function. Afterwards, yes, they can have they'll be there for their ball, but your nails is not a major part of the event. All right, so please help us with that. For the males, there should be no male coming with plait hair. We're asking them that their hair be properly cut and groomed. All right, so please ensure that your sons cooperate with us in this adventure. For jewelry, and this again goes mainly for the females, males too, they are not going to be allowed to wear any earrings. In terms of the males, no knobs. A number of them I've noticed that they would have pierced their ears, because during rehearsals, you see them with some little things in them ears. They would have pierced their ears. I will look out for that, and the other teachers on the committee who will work to dress them will ensure that they do not wear any form of jewelry that way. For the females, there should be no large hoop earrings. We just don't, based on the handbook, because in the handbook, they are not allowed to wear any earrings and so on. So if it is that they're going to put on an earring, we don't expect it to be arduous. All right, so please, subtle jewelry no, because one, when you explain to them that you're going to be in your tunic, you're going to have on the gown, you're going to have the mortarboard on, you are going to have on false hair, you have your natural hair beneath that, plus the excessive makeup that they may have. It's going to be hot. We're going to be out there from 10 until maybe 2 o'clock. You don't want anything that is going to cause you excessive sweating. So moderation is important. So parents, please, I'm going to ask you just to see to it that your children are properly attired. It's a high school event. Yes, your graduation, your fifth form graduation is most important. And you are to look as natural, as close as possible to how you would have been during the time. All right, so I'm going to ask for your help in that way. For those of us that will be coming to the graduation, we want to start at 10. We have 208 students who will march. We cannot start marching them in at 10 o'clock, right? Because the march is going to take us approximately 25 minutes. So we will march them in, start marching them in earlier so we can get a 10 o'clock start. So we're going to ask you to be seated by 9:30, so at least you can see your child walking in, because we're going to start them at 9:30 so we can have a 10 o'clock start. I am also going to implore that we allow, or we make sure that our children get a solid breakfast in the morning. Many of them do not eat breakfast, and therefore they rely on our break time at 10:30 in the morning here at school. And we won't, at 10:30, they'll be seated on the platform. They will not be able to get up and move around. So we're going to ask you to help us to ensure that they have a solid breakfast. Refreshments will be provided for them in the morning when they come. They'll get a juice, they'll get a sandwich, they'll get some fruits. But that is just to ensure that, of course, they have something and they're not seated there hungry. So please help us with that, because I don't want them walking all over the place during the ceremony. They will not be allowed to do so. For the photographs, and when they're receiving their photographs, we will have an official photographer who will take pictures of them receiving the photograph. Please, I'm going to ask, I know we want our own personal shots and everything like that, but we cannot crowd the platform or the area for each parent to be taking pictures, and they have to remain there for this one to take and that one to take. 200 and odd students receiving their certificates. It's a long process. We cannot spend more than just the period of calling the name, handing the certificate, doing the handshake, taking the photograph, and the child come off. All right, so that can be done after the operation there too. On that same point, there may be students who can unavoidably will be absent from the photo shoot on the 19th or the 20th. We're going to ask of you that if it is that is so, that a letter be written to the school stating the circumstances, and so that we can call in to Brian's studio that's located in Kingston, so that you can journey there to have the picture taken. We don't expect that a whole number of students will encounter that, but should that happen, that's a process we're going to ask you to take. All right, so as soon as that, that's on the 19th and the 20th, if the children are not able to make it, you need to communicate to us early. Pools A, B, and B will take their pictures on the 19th. So if your child is in 10A, 10B, 10C, 10D, they know themselves. They should be here on Monday. The photo shoot will start at 8:30 and end at 3, or when the last person gets up out of the chair. Last year, when the gentleman had packed up, and this was at 5 o'clock, in the parking lot, when they were putting their things in, 2 students was walking in to take their pictures. Reason being, they were at the hairdressers, right? So please, parents, we have to take into consideration that these gentlemen travel from Kingston, they go back and then come back the next morning. We really have to implore on our students to obey time and respect time. Time again is going to be a factor because we ask them to be here at a particular time to get their gowns on, for us to dress them and line them up. We don't want when the ceremony and when the students have been, the other graduates are seated, then your child or ward is walking in because it's an embarrassment. So we want to start promptly, so try and get them here on time. If you have to arrange with that taxi to get them picked up at a particular time to get here, please do so before, all right? The rehearsal date, students are aware of that, and that was enclosed in the letter, so you can go through. Our final date of rehearsal is going to be on the 27th. For that week, during the 22nd, the 26th, and the 27th, we will have rehearsals starting at 10:30. So you will, the children will be asked to come in at that time. On the other dates that would have been scheduled there, the times are there. We end at 4 o'clock in the evenings from the June 6th to the 21st. So they should be home within a timely basis. So they should not be telling you that they were at practice, whatever. So those are the times. So for the 22nd and the 26th, 27th, we'll start rehearsals at 10:30 and end at 2:30 p.m. There are those students who will participate in the presentation of gifts to guest speaker, the reading of the valid vote of thanks, the valedictorians, all of those. Those persons will be asked to stay back a little or to work with teachers so they know themselves and we are working with them. So again, we're going to ask your cooperation to allow them to come out for the rehearsals and to participate in what they have to do. On a different point, there are the books or grade 11s. They would have been issued books from grade 10. Those rental books would not have been collected back from them at the end of grade 10. So we would have allowed them to use those books throughout grade 11, keep them so they could study and revise for their exams. And now we need to get back those books. So they were asked to return the books on the 13th, 14th, and also today is the last day. We ask that you remind the students to take in their subject, the books that they would have gotten. If it is that they have lost or misplaced, then they will have to replace those books so that the current grade 10 students can get them to use. Some of you as parents would have experienced that enough books, math books or English book was not there to distribute to your child. It means that previous set of grade 11s were tardy in returning their books, and therefore it would have caused your child to be at a disadvantage of getting their books late. So we are going to ask you to ensure that they return these books and be cleared by the book room. All right, so basically that is it from me. I'll take questions. You would have been affairs to the prices many persons would have paid already. I saw a question popping up that is if it's too late for you to pay for the graduation pictures. No, it isn't. So payments, the students will make that to the bursar's office and be given a receipt. They need to make sure that they keep those receipts. Please repeat. Was that a question or somebody was asking something? Okay. All right, could you type in the chat if it is that you're not, we will monitor the chat and answer the questions. All right, so I will take your questions now to provide some clarification where you may not be clear as to what is expected of the child or you have a comment.
Just to reinforce a few points that you made, Mrs. Martin, starting with the time, the need for students to be punctual for both the practice sessions as well as the graduation exercise. As you already hinted, it is scheduled to be a 4-hour maybe event. I'm sure that most of us do not want to have too long a graduation exercise. If we are not going to be on time and if we are not properly rehearsed, then we will not be able to stick with the schedule that we have. So it's important that they get here early in the morning to be properly attired for and assembled for the march to start at what, 9:35 or 9:40, 9:40 the latest. Those persons who are going to be coming as guests as well, it's important that you get here on time so that at 10 o'clock sharp, we will start the official proceedings. Somebody said they didn't get the cost for graduation, which means that they probably joined late. So the total package is for $30,000. I think Mrs. Martin probably can give us the breakdown as to what are the various costs and what costs a parent may be able to eliminate. But just a reminder as well, I know that there is a question of the cost or the expense, how expensive it is. The truth is that don't make monies from graduation. These monies that are collected are to pay suppliers, pay for tents, pay for PA system, pay for the photographs, pay for the items that are given as souvenirs. And that is why we don't make it mandatory. So if a parent or a student decides that they don't want to participate in the graduation exercise, then there's no penalty attached. So if it is that they can't afford or they don't think it is worth it, or for whatever reason they decide they don't want to participate, then really there's no penalty that the parent or the child will suffer. But the school will not take on the additional burden of paying for this exercise because we just don't have the money. And this year is probably as bad as it gets in terms of parent support, the school fees and so on. So we're definitely to participate, everybody has to pay the cost associated with it, right? Those who did not get invitations, Mrs. Martin, I don't know if it's you that they should check with, or you can speak with that as well. So can you just speak to the breakdown of the cost, as well as for those who have not yet gotten their invitations?
All right, thank you, sir. The cost now, the total cost of the package for graduation with all of the items, they would have the ball, rental of the gowns, their souvenirs, and a couple of things that Mr. Wellington would have mentioned. The listing is also in that letter that you would have received or will receive from your child. If they were here yesterday, they would have gotten that letter, so you can peruse that. So for graduation, the total package is $30,000. If it is that you do not want the child to attend the ball, then you are going to pay $26,000. So that will cover all the items, the photographs, everything, but the child will not be allowed to attend the ball because you have not permitted them, all right? If it is that the child only wants to take the package photos, because we do know that some persons will not be able to afford the cost of the graduation, but you still need a photograph to show that you are here. We allow you to do that, and the cost of that is $4,500. If it is that the child wants only the package photographs and to attend the ball only, then it is $10,500. Right? So this those are the costs that are affixed to the graduation package. And that would have been shared in the parent group by the coordinator. So you can go back a few messages and review the prices so that you know what to pay for. Invitations are being distributed. Ms. Evans Johnson is the person who will have those invitations, and the children are asked to present their receipt to verify that they have paid, and also their clearance form from the book room to collect those invitations. All right, so those, and they will get those, we'll issue again today when they come for rehearsals, so they will get those invitations. Please, those persons who will, whether mommy, daddy, grandma, whoever is gonna be attending on them, they need to take those invitations on the day of the graduation in order for us to have them printed. Any other questions?
Just from the chat, Mrs. Martin, for the books,
Yes,
persons with outstanding books or issues related to book, the student should speak directly with Mrs. Scott. So if your child is having an issue with a textbook, then they should go directly to Mrs. Scott, and Mrs. Scott will advise them of how to resolve that issue. All right. In terms of grooming, Mrs. Martin spoke already about the grooming. We remind you that graduation is a school function. The normal, regular school rules apply, except in where she has clearly stated that there will be exemptions or allowances. So, for example, the girls being allowed to wear a knob or extension no longer than extension of the hair, no longer than 16 inches, along with light makeup. The unkempt hair from the boys, not exempted. So if their hair is unkempt and not in keeping with the school rules in terms of grooming, then they will not be allowed to participate. So if they pay for the package, they know what is expected of them. Every parent, every student should have a copy of the school's handbook, all right? I see some other questions that are being asked that were already answered by Mrs. Martin. Invitations. Mrs. Martin did say each child is entitled to 2 invitations, that they are free to choose who to give those invitations to, whether it's parents or grandparents or sweethearts. Those persons with invitations will be seated in a specific area. They will be ushered to their seats. However, if there are persons who wish to attend to support a child but did not get an invitation, they can also attend, but they will not get preferential seating. So there will be preferential seating for those persons with invitation. So if it's 2 per student, have 200 plus students, it means that we have put aside 400 plus for persons with invitation plus a special guest. We will still have maybe another 600 seats available, but those you will have to find those seats, and those seats will, obviously the ones with the invitations are those seats that will be closer to the graduates.
right. Just for a point of information, the students are expected to graduate in their uniform. They're not allowed to wear white dresses or suits. They're uniforms that they must be attired in, and flat black shoes. For the males, the same thing. They must be uniform, so they cannot change the shoes, or just as how they would be attired for school, that's how we want them to be attired for graduation. Thank you.
All right, just to add again, another question that has already been answered. If they are not going to be participating in a graduation exercise, they don't wish to, or they are not being allowed to, they can still get a package photograph. The graduation photographs are available for $4,500. That was already answered.
Right. On that point, Mr. Wellington, if your child did not make the requirements, they would not be able to graduate. So those students would have known themselves, would have been communicated to them, so they may try and appeal. But there are certain requirements that they should have met And if they had broken school rules, then of course they will have to pay the penalty. And they already knew this from the going through the handbook. It's all stated in the handbook. And
from grade 7, they have been told. From orientation,
right.
their first few days at STETHS, they have been told that it is their record that they accumulate starting from the first day at school to the end of the grade 11 that determines whether or not they qualify for graduation, 1 based on their academic performances and 2 based on their attitudes and their behaviors. I hear you say appeals. Just a reminder, ultimately the principal will have the final say. I will not be listening to any parent or student making that appeal. If you have an appeal, you put it in writing and explain every reason why you think that you should be allowed to graduate, despite what the graduation committee says. So please don't turn up at my office or make a call to find out why the child is not graduating. We have been very lenient this year in terms of allowances for graduation, but there are some students whose general behavior, especially, not so much their academics, but their general behavior over the 5 years, and in particular at the grade 10 and 11, was of such that we are not proud of them, and we do not wish to highlight the fact that they attended STETHS. All right. Name of the persons to collect invitations from: Mrs. Evans Johnson at the Visual Arts Room.
And they will also be issued during rehearsals. So the students are aware of that, and that was communicated to them. All right.
All right. Any other questions? Any questions? Remember, the meeting is being recorded, so we will share the recording shortly after the meeting is complete.
Just another point, Mr. Wellington. For dress for the students to come to rehearsals, we are asking that they, could I call you back in a few minutes, please? Just to ask that they be attired in jeans and the school t-shirt for rehearsals if they're unable to do so during after exams would have completed. So on the days of June 22nd and the 26th, 27th, they would not be coming for any exam. They'll be coming for rehearsals. We're asking that they be attired in jeans and the school shirt. If they don't have a school shirt, a white shirt will do, but no excessive ripped jeans and shorts and marinas and all the different things that they would wear on the streets. So they're coming on the school campus, they must be properly attired. All right, so thank you.
They can wear their uniform. Just to reiterate, that is not that they should not wear their uniform. They can wear their uniform to rehearsal. If they are going to be coming and they are not in their uniform, they won't be allowed until 2:30. Any other question? Any other questions or comments or concerns?
Morning. I'm joining late, so I'm not sure if I had missed it, but I heard the part about the students picking up the invitation, but each child is getting how many invitations?
All right, so I'm going to answer that question, but it is the last question I will answer regarding anything that has been discussed in the last 45 minutes. There's 2, and we have repeated that comment regarding invitations about 3 times already. So it's 2. Please remember that the meeting is being recorded, and we will share the recording as soon as the meeting is finished. So if you missed the early part of the meeting, please refer to the recording or ask a colleague after the end of this meeting. All right. Somebody's asking if it is when the students are going to pay for their package, they will be told that they won't be graduating. No, I think as Mrs. Martin said, there are invitation letters, so students should check for their invitation letters. I also know that the list of students who are not going to be allowed to participate was communicated to them, I think, last week, right, Mrs. Martin?
Yes, but those who did not make the graduation list they would have been, the accounts department would have been aware of it. And all of those students who don't, they are aware, because some of them are turning up to rehearsals. I communicated that information to them. So they are aware.
The recording will be posted in the grade 11 WhatsApp group, as well as on the school's YouTube channel. The school's YouTube channel, which is STETHS Online. If you go on YouTube and search for STETHS Online, you will see the relevant video. All right. I think we have covered all that we wanted to cover. Just to remind parents, we will have summer school. So if you are interested in sending your child, or if you are aware of any other parent who wants to send their child, there is a flyer going around indicating what will be offered at summer school and the cost. They can make contact with the numbers listed. Just a reminder as well that for grade 11 students, I think the ministry has met a couple times with them, but the ministry is encouraging all students completing grade 11 to continue their education, whether by going to sixth form or going to college or some training institution or whatever else is available, but that the grade 11 students should not leave and find themselves at home not doing anything. As a matter of fact, they don't even want them to be out there searching for jobs that are not available. So please make sure that you would have had discussions with your child about their intentions for the next school year. From our perspective, we will take back some students for sixth form, and I say some, the emphasis on some. Not all will get the opportunity, even if they are all successful in their 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 subjects. Not all of them will be successful. Those who intend or have a desire to come back to sixth form, the applications will be available, I think, at the end of July, and will close off within a few days of the CXC results. Please make sure that if they are interested, then they do the applications on time. Please also be reminded that financial obligations to the school is to be met as soon as possible, but certainly before requests are made for release of any documentation, including recommendations and transcripts and all of those. So if there are outstanding balances, we have not been pressuring you for them for the last 5 years. If you allowed it to accumulate, then please make the arrangements for them to be covered over the next month and a half. All right, parents, if there's anything else, I think the PTA president was on. I'm not sure if she's still on. Mrs. Brownwind? Mrs. Brownwind?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir. I'm here, I'm listening.
I don't know if you have anything.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Just want to take the opportunity to tell every parent, congratulations. Congratulations on your children reaching this milestone, finally completing the first 5 years of a great institution. And so you're now preparing for graduation. I want to encourage you to adhere to the rules and ensure that your children turn up the way they should for graduation, because this is very, very important. They're representing the school and it's still a school day. So I want to have a wonderful day on June 29th. That's all from me, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mrs. Wint. And is there any other guidance counselors on? Do we have any other guidance counselors on? No? All right, so if there are no other questions, let me thank you very much, parents. Well, the great one, Mrs. Swaby, Miss Swaby? Is Miss Swaby on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything to add?
I just want to say congratulations to the parents. I want to wish your child all the best in their endeavors, whatever they might decide to pursue. I know that they would have done their best in the exams, and I know that you would have also played your part. So I want to thank you for working with me this year, and I am looking forward to the results come August. Thank you again, parents, for your assistance throughout the school year, and I'm wishing you all the best.
Thank you very much, Ms. Twaby. Thank you very much. I don't know if Mrs. Holness is on. She would have worked closely with them over the last few weeks, months, especially with their exams and their SBAs. She may actually be preparing for exam this morning, so she may not be on. But yes, parents, as I said earlier, they are finishing their CSEC exams tomorrow, but I think some of them may have NCTVET exams, heart exams. Please make sure that they attend, they participate in those exams. Many of the times our grade 11 students, they enter for the NCTVET, the heart exams, but because it comes after CXC, they don't bother to turn up. Please, we are encouraging them to make sure they get that certification from heart. It's an opportunity that they should not waste. So find out from your child if they are registered for any heart subject, any NCTVET subject. When is the exam? I think it's going to be next week. Make sure that they turn up for the exams, right? So their practical areas, the heart exam would cover most of the practical areas, especially industrial tech. Try and encourage them to make sure they turn up for those exams. All right. All right, thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, Mrs. Martin, for her presentations. Thanks everybody else who participated, even those who did not say anything. Please have a good day. And I will share the recording so that you can share with those parents who are not here. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Okay then, sir. Okay then, parents, all the best.
Thanks, and same to you.